Then whenever you take an initiation on this path, you receive a new name, a new identity. So that's when I got this new name. In my previous identity, I was studying at University of Michigan. I was pursuing their PhD in computer science. I had received a scholarship. I had come from India, and I had some big dreams that I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to do something for others. When I was in college, I always used to think when my friends were looking for big jobs. Hey, I thought, why don't I do something with this life, this human life, something for others? Because everybody's running after themselves, and that doesn't satisfy me. So I thought, the best way I can help others if I can do something research-wise, come up with some ideas to solve some difficult problems. So then I was looking for published papers. I published papers, got an opportunity, came to UMich. I was very happy, very ecstatic. And when I come here, I see the same race is going on here, except in different terms, different objects. Back in my home in India, they were fighting for money, dollars. Where at colleges, at universities, they will fight for what? Scholarly papers. Who can get more papers? Who can get the best research grant? How much grant did you get last year? These are the questions being asked. So it's just the object had changed, but the same rat race was going on here too. I was a little dissatisfied, and that's when, Krishna is looking. He's looking into each one's our lives. Whenever we have that desire to, that open-mindedness, he sends a devotee. So Krishna sent a devotee my way. His name was Devana, that name was Bhakta Devin, and he handed me a Bhagavad Gita. I said, I know it. I'm from India. Don't try to teach me what Gita means, I grew up in this. He said, you know about Gita? Okay. How about Srimad Bhagavatam? And that's pretty interesting. I never heard of that book. I'm supposed to be a Hindu Indian. I don't know about this book. So that prompted me to, take that book. And that was the beginning of my journey. They invited me to several of these programs where I was fed a lot of good philosophy, logic, stories, and very nice food. And who could turn away good music? Like just Premamani just sang such nice kirtan, such nice music. It is addictive, isn't it? So food, music, and philosophy. And I was saying, wow, there's nothing I have found in the world which is comparable to this. And the more I heard it, the more I felt what I was looking for my whole life, a purpose to dedicate my life to, I had found. And that's when I took it to it. So in 2014, I sort of became a monk, although that doesn't mean that I went to Himalayas and sat in a meditative pose. It just meant that I took to living a life of sharing and practicing Krishna consciousness as my sole and only occupation. And many times people wonder, if that became your occupation, how do you feed? How do you get razors to shave your head? Thankfully, that hasn't been my problem. There's plenty of shaving razors and there's plenty of food, place to sleep and place to enjoy. Practically every year I get to go to India for a pilgrimage. And I'm just coming off a pilgrimage right now here because my base is in Michigan. That's where there's a farm where I serve. There are about 10 cows whom I milk. No, I milk only one cow. There's about 10 cows, it's a cow sanctuary. And we, have a small, community like this. Our friend Batanga was just there a few months ago. And we fed him also milk and nice smoothie. That's why he's looking so bright.
I confirm, it's very nice.
So that's my base, and I'm coming here from a trip from India, a pilgrimage. And here I'm talking to you about the art of smart work. Now, why did I choose this subject? There are many reasons, and I'll tell you only a few. I can't tell you all. Some of them are secret. So one reason I chose this work this topic because everybody here in New York works very hard. I mean, who here works less than 40 hours, except for people living in the temple? Anybody here works less than 40 hours? Retired, probably. That's why, isn't it? Got it. You work less than 40 hours? Okay. Applause for you. That's the first one. Anybody else who works less than 40 hours? What? Two more. Well, that's a rare thing in New York. Here, throughout the whole week, me and a few of our friends, we go to different subways and we do kirtan there. And then I try to stop people. Hey, please take a book about spiritual life. And they just turn me away. Hey, go away. We have to go to the next job, this job. Sometimes people have 2 jobs and some of them are very smart and they have 3 jobs. But everybody's working very hard here. So I thought, why don't we discuss the topic of art of smart work versus hard work? So the idea being, how can we get the most out of our 24 hours? Not necessarily, doesn't mean that we get most money or most, we can say, most bang for your buck, but how can we utilize our human life in the best manner? And on this regard, the best book which I have discovered is Bhagavad Gita. Just like whenever you buy a machine, like suppose you buy, like upstairs, if you see they're putting together a big cafe, it's called Kadamba Cafe, it's coming up pretty soon. And if you walk in there, there's a big block of brown case, and it says what? A range. You know what's a range? Like when you cook stuff. And when you open it, the first thing will come out will be what? A manual. It will tell you like this thick manual, tell you how to put it together, if it breaks, how to fix it, how to turn it on. So it's a commercial range, so a lot of complications. Similarly, this human body which we have received has a lot of complications. Do we agree? Isn't it? There's so many parts which we figure out as we grow older, as we learn from other people. So Krishna, who is, we call as the supreme creator, also most beloved person, he has sent a manual very kindly along with his human body, and it's called Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita has a lot of advice on how to make best use of human life. So for those of us who are human beings, I highly recommend you read this book every day. I've been reading it regularly for the last almost 12 years, and even now also whenever I read it, I find new sense of happiness, inspiration, and ideas in it. So this presentation today is based on Bhagavad Gita. So I'm going to give you 3 different tips on how to do smart work, and then we'll discuss those tips in details too, and go and ask questions. And of course, if you have any reflections or any concerns along the way, you can always raise your hand, and we can take those too. So let's begin. First one tip: book of your life. So the first suggestion from Bhagavad Gita is we should write our book of life maturely. What does that mean? That means that we can choose to live like this happy guy on the right, or we can choose to like this guy. Almost looks like Matanga, isn't it? But no. So he's in front of me, so I don't want to play on him, but sorry. He doesn't mind either.
I would love to look like him.
He's not that famous, but it's pretty close. We're trying to get in there. So we can choose to react in our life in variety of ways. We can choose to live in a very serious manner, grave manner, unhappy manner, happy manner. There's like a whole gray scale, goes from white to black. So we should choose to write our book of life maturely. What does that mean? It means that we are responsible for where we are right now. Nobody else is responsible. We are the ones who are responsible for that. And how do we understand that? We understand this by understanding different components of ourselves. So Thomas Huxley makes this comment. He says, "There's a third thing in the universe, consciousness, which I see to be neither matter nor force." So the Gita talks about 3 different aspects of ours, which we need to understand: body, mind, and soul. If we just accept ourselves as just body, and then we would see that there are things in our life which we don't expect, but they still are there. It's like we know that we should rise early, because rising early gives you that special period of time where you can work very efficiently, very productively. But there's one issue with that. What's that issue?
It's hard to wake up early.
It's hard to wake up early. And what's the problem? Our mind. So if we don't understand that we consist, that there is an aspect of ours which is mind, we would never be able to solve the problem. If we just think we're just body, it should work. It doesn't work because there's a mind which doesn't work. Similarly, there's another aspect known as soul. Now, some people have questions about us being, presence of soul. For them, I recommend there is a professor named Ian Stevenson. He left. He's no longer on this planet, but he left. He died, I think, a few years ago. But he did a tremendous amount of work on the topic of reincarnation. He used to be in the University of Virginia, and he started a department called Department of Perceptual Studies. And he collected, by going all around the world, more than 2,500 deeply documented cases of reincarnation. Now, he was not a religious person. He was somebody who was open-minded. He was somebody who was a psychologist and looking at people's life. Specifically, he was looking at kids who could narrate things from their past life. And he was trying to document that and follow that and create a research essay on that. And many people were really impressed with his work. And in fact, Xerox founder was so impressed with him that he gave him like something like few $1 million of endowment for his research, and that's how he could do this research his whole life on reincarnation. So that establishes that there's something beyond body, mind, and that's, Bhagavad Gita says it's soul. In fact, right in the beginning of Gita, which as I was saying is the manual for human life, human body, Krishna says, Dehinosmin yatha dehi komaram yovanam jara tata dehantar praptir dhiras tatrana mujati. So Krishna is saying we all have experience of getting old. Who here has that experience? Raise your hands. That we have experience of us getting older. We have seen us getting older.
I'm still 15 years old.
Anybody here who has not seen himself getting older? You can raise your left hand now. No, nobody. So Krishna says this example. Dehino asmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara. He says that we have all seen that body goes from being a very teenage komaram, yovanam, to youth, to jara, to old body. It's happening. Just like that, the bodies, as we have seen ourselves getting older or seen others getting older, but still the person continues to be the same. It's not that, I used to be small Sid, now I'm different Sid, that Sid has died. No, I'm the same person, except, his body is changing. Similarly, at the moment of death, I, as a soul, will continue this journey from this body to next body. That's an example, analogy he gives and establishes, and then he goes on to give further more details about how to understand we are soul. So when we understand that, it helps us to work on ourselves. How? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also that the aparayas itastam, he says, I don't know the shloka properly yet, he says that us as a soul I as a soul am pure. I'm free from any kind of inabilities, any kind of contamination. But the layer of mind and body adds contamination. So our innate quality is that we are full of all kind of goodness. There is no evil person out there, not even Adolf Hitler. He may have done wrong things, that's because of his contaminated consciousness, contaminated mind. But at the end of the day, as a soul, he is pure. His qualities are innately pure. So we can all accept that. We can all say this to ourselves, that I'm good, I'm complete. I have all the good qualities, but they are covered up. So when we understand that, then we can work on it. Once we understand who we are and where we are. Just to give an example, just to talk about some bad qualities. So here I have divided the bad qualities into 3 different categories. Some are more, you can say, perfunctory, and others are quite deeper. So the 3 categories are simple, serious, and grave. So I'm going to ask somebody to read simple. Ryan? Right?
Postponing, inattentive, mood off.
Yeah. So these are simple bad qualities which are due to our attitude. Can you read the serious ones?
Not taking initiative, easily irritated, inability in team playing.
So these are some bad qualities which are due to our thinking, because our thinking is not properly situated. And the last one, can you read that one? Grave.
Lacking loyalty to company, loose in dealing with opposite sex, bad mouthing behind back.
Now these are just indicators. They go, you can go further, into further more and more details. But these are the 3 different levels of bad qualities which you need to deal with. So here's an example of the innate quality versus an acquired bad quality. Why I'm calling it acquired? Because all the bad qualities have some or other accumulated on our consciousness over many, many lifetimes. Because this is not the first time we have had this birth. This human bodies we are occupying right now as a soul. But before that, we had so many human births and so many other births too. And in all those births, we have built up this consciousness, which is what we are seeing now. So we'll play a game here. Is it Ryan, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, what's her name?
Maria.
Maria. Okay, so we're gonna play a game. Ryan, you'll be the good guy, and Maria will be the bad person. Okay. So then, Ryan, you say this the yellow ones in a soft tone, and Maria, you say it like a harsh manner. Okay. Are you ready? So let's say this one.
God works through many by giving them creative thoughts.
My opinion is the best.
You have to say a little more assertive. Oh, you like something like, my opinion is the best, like that. You want to switch? Okay, let's switch.
I'm open to good suggestions from my team. I consider I am one of them.
I'm easily irritated. I'm the boss. Just do what I say.
That's pretty natural.
I am grateful and appreciative of others' ideas. It makes my life easy and brings direction for team.
I consider others' giving opinion as an insubordination, and I badmouth about them.
So as you can see, as we go deeper and deeper, these are much more serious problems you need to deal with. So, based on Gita, we hear some solution to all these types of bad qualities. So the first one I said, the simple bad qualities, they are what? They are because of our attitude. How do we change attitude? Just by observing it. If you observe a bad attitude, we can easily switch it. This doesn't require some hard work. When we talk about thinking, if you want to change our thinking, we need to do 2 steps. What are 2 steps? First, we need to be introspective. And second, we need to come up with a strategy to counter that. So, it is recommended, so many people recommend that we should, at the end of the day, write a journal or go back and consider how did I spend my day, what were my thoughts, and look back where we are. And then, once we have looked at those thoughts, our mind itself will, our intelligence itself, which is trained, will give us ideas how to change it. And finally, for the grave bad qualities, it's 3-step strategy. Again, not very difficult, very 3-step strategy. What is 3-step strategy? First, you figure out what is right versus wrong. 2, choose the right. And 3, make it a habit. So it's like here, this is a good example, practical example. So suppose I have a habit of sleeping late. Say I sleep, or somebody, I don't have that much bad habit. But suppose I have a friend who has a bad habit of sleeping at say 1 a.m. By the way, who here sleeps by 10? Anybody here sleeps by 10? We have Tulsi who sleeps by 10. Now there are numerous studies out there I can show you on YouTube which says that people who are CEOs of big companies, they all sleep by 10. Why? Because our bodies have this natural rhythmic functions which want to repair what's in their body, repair the system, repair our muscle system, nervous system. We start at 10 ideally, and they go from 10 to about 2 or 3 o'clock. So if we asleep at that time, then our body has proper time to repair itself and come back and refresh, ready to work the next day. So suppose I have a friend who has this bad habit that he wakes up and sleeps at 1 a.m. and it's common with student life. If you're a student, you're working till late, it's obvious. So how do you solve? So first of all, we have to know what's right versus wrong. What is right here? The right thing is to sleep early. What's wrong? Sleep at 1 a.m. So what's the next thing? Choose the right thing. What's the choosing the right thing mean? You make it a point to set an alarm for yourself. Like say, instead of 1, you set an alarm for like 11:30, that you want to be in bed by 11:30. And third thing, you make it a habit. Now there are so many studies out there which say that if you do something regularly in a disciplined fashion for like say 40 days, you make it into your system and you stick to that. So it's a 3-step system that whatever bad qualities we have acquired, we're not going to just discuss it in detail, but whatever bad qualities we have acquired, we can solve or counter this with 3 steps. First, what? Identify bad versus wrong. 2, execute the good. And 3, make it a habit. It sounds easier than said than done. And we'll discuss some strategies later how to get the determination to accomplish this. So the first thing was what? That write your book of life maturely. That's the first tip, which means, take ownership of what you are and act on it. So moving to tip number 2, which is again coming from Bhagavad Gita, know your personality type. So the Gita talks about 3 different types of personalities. Goodness, Sattva-guna, passion, Rajaguna, ignorance, Tamoguna. So I would like, from people who have not yet spoken, to give me an example of somebody who's in mode of goodness. Give a life practical example. Yes, sir. And also say your name, please. Rashid. Yeah, Rashid is here. Yes.
Dalai Lama?
Dalai Lama. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Some. Do you want to say another one? Sure.
Mother Teresa?
Mother Teresa. Yeah. Person in mode of goodness. Okay, very good. Person in mode of passion. Rajaguna. I have given pictures here so that you can, get an idea also what kind of person you're looking for. It doesn't have to be a famous personality. You can just describe a person from your life. You don't have to give me the names. Politicians, the more of Rajaguna. Why do you say that?
Because it's all about fire and commanding and this is the way and bam, and they kind of lead and they
Uh-huh.
want everybody to follow that lead that they think is best for humanity, but not necessarily.
Yeah. I'm not sure if all the politicians that everybody, yeah, maybe the politicians you have seen, most of them have general politicians. Yeah, good. Okay, let's see ignorance. What do we see in the example here? The ignorance. What this person is doing? Looks depressed, tired, maybe has not slept for a long time. Anyway, any example of somebody who is more of ignorance? Any thoughts? Ladies?
I don't know, working fashion, I would say there's a lot of ignorance.
Is it?
Yeah. There's a lot of passion, there's a lot of ignorance as
Why
well.
do you say ignorance?
I think there often feels like there's this like beautiful passion and devotion to like what is perceived as like the art of the industry, but it also is like ultimately a product and a business, and I think there's a lot of ignorance to that and like confluence that is really disturbing.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you for being courageous on your own. So now we'll look at Gita. What does Gita says? Bhagavad Gita says describes more of ignorance with these qualities. What are the qualities? Can you read them out?
Oh, I don't have my glasses.
Okay, you wanna help? You wanna help her?
Laziness, confused, foolish, indecisive, insecure, fearful, panicky / cry, no thinking, intoxicated, suicidal thoughts, madness, depression, hopeless, postpones and dull, inattentive, oversleep.
Yeah. So these are the main qualities which describe somebody who's in more of ignorance. They come from these three innate qualities: nidra, alasya, and pramad. Nidra means too much sleep, alasya means laziness, lethargy, and pramad means intoxication. And it's a common thing, especially in New York. Like on Friday night, again, I go out every day on subways to share with people spiritual books. So on Wednesday, Friday night, what do I see? People who are Monday to Friday or Thursday, they're working so hard. On Friday night, they're going around with red eyes. Why the eyes red? Red because they're intoxicated. More ignorance takes over.
Or they're crying.
Or they're crying.
Sad.
That can be the case too. Alasya, lethargy. Who here has difficulty with that lethargy? You want, man, it's Saturday morning, Friday morning, Monday morning. It's time to wake up. No, we're going to sleep a half an hour more. Put the snooze button. It's a common thing which we face. And pramad, intoxication. Again, it's a big thing. People taking drugs or all kinds of, I stay in Michigan. So in Michigan, we have a football game every weekend practically. Some of the games are home games. So, University of Michigan has a huge football following. Practically all schools have, but University of Michigan has a huge football following. In fact, their stadium is like one of the biggest stadiums in whole North America. So, like 120,000 people sit in that stadium, huge. And on the game days, so these students who are working very hard and going to school and practically has very less time to do anything else. It's a top school like Columbia. Ryan lives next to the Columbia there. People are very serious about their studies, very super serious. Like, you try to speak to them during the school hours, they're like, man, no time. I have so much to prepare for exams. But on game days, an interesting phenomenon happens. Any guesses what happens on game days? Anybody who has not said spoken? What happens on game days? Any guesses? You could throw any guesses.
They get drunk.
They get drunk, yeah. Practically the whole the campus becomes drunk. They're out on the street, going towards the game, completely drunk. That's what it means to be in college. It means to be drunk and to go for the football game. So that's more of ignorance. And there's more of passion. What's more of passion? Let's see. I'm gonna pick the guy in the check shirt. Can you read the screen, sir?
Sure.
Okay.
Partial thinking, snap decisions, controls, using authority, bossing tendency, thirst for honor and prestige, envious of peers and subordinates, not comfortable with team playing, angry, pride, I know it all, always in rat race, workaholic until burnout, grab credit mode.
Yeah. So these are all the symptoms. And they come from these two qualities, Sangha and Trishna. What is Sangha? Sangha means too much attachment. Somebody with a passion is very attached to their goals. They think that for them nothing matters except their goals or things they want to get. Like the best iPhone, the best this, the best that. They're just running after it. And Trishna, they have a lot of lamentation and hankering. Their heart is always burning. They can't stop it. I have another friend, his name is Mohit, and when I was in college, he always aspired, he wanted to, earn something like 100K. And as soon as we graduated, he got a job 100K. I met him. He said, are you happy? He said, no. In my company, there's so many people who are earning like 200K. I said, okay. I met him after a few years. I said, how much are you earning? He said, I'm earning 250K. So that's pretty good. You must be satisfied now. He said, no. In my company, there's so many now who earn 400K. I said, okay. I met him again recently. I said, are you happy now? Now he's like a chief financial officer in his company, big company in India. Are you happy now? He said, no, people, my colleagues have now started their own company. They're earning $1 million. I said, okay, I guess this is a never-ending rat race. So, that's like the heart is always burning with hankering, always burning with lamentation, this mode of passion. And finally, mode of goodness, which Krishna describes, have these qualities. Sir, in the corner, can you read the screen for us? Can you read these items?
Yeah.
Cleanliness.
Cleanliness, regulation, simplicity, thoughtfulness, thinks well and decides, noble, saintly, creative thinking, realized wisdom, tolerance, obedient to scriptural injunctions, wisdom, forgiveness, controlled mind, discipline and obedience, compassion, controlled senses, calm, clear, friendly.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So these are the symptoms of somebody who's in mode of goodness. And it is characterized by two main qualities, sukham and jnanam. Jnanam means what? That somebody is in mode of goodness, he is seeking what? Knowledge. And second thing what? His life is characterized by sukham, by peacefulness. There's no like abruption running around or sleepiness, but there is very peacefulness and there is there's a drive for knowledge. So that is a person more of goodness, and there's some pictures here around it. So these are the qualities which we discussed: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So depending on goodness, passion, and ignorance, we will solve or attend a situation in a different manner. So let me give you here a case, and let's see what solutions we have. So here's a small poem which my friend wrote. I didn't write. I'll read to you, and then we'll try to answer this question. A cab seller, tired of long distance walk, kept his basket aside and slept off under the shade of a banyan tree that was filled with a group of mischievous monkeys. After a while, he got up from his sleep and found his basket was totally empty. The monkeys had picked up each one a cap and, wheeling on their heads, soon climbed up the tree. So we have a question. So how would one behave in such a situation if one was either in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance? First of all, do you understand the context? There's a cap seller and he has lost his caps to monkeys. So somebody who's in mode of ignorance, how would he respond? You want to try, sir? Or you want to try? Okay, go ahead.
With ignorance, he would throw rocks.
Throw rocks.
Yell at it.
Yell at it.
Yell at them.
Yes.
Poke them with a stick. Grab more people. Hurt them, whatever.
Got it.
Alright.
I would say that more of passion, because more of ignorance, as you said, is somebody who is lethargic. Like sleepiness, indolence. So that's more of passion, pretty close to more of passion than more of ignorance, I would put it, as per the language of Gita. Yes, sir.
Oh no, I was just gonna say maybe ignorance is crying or something.
Crying, yeah. That's a good one. Get a bottle of wine and cry. I lost my game. Okay.
I'm thinking of more the passion. He might charge the monkeys for the hats.
Charge the monkeys? What do you mean charge the monkeys? Like,
Charge the money for the hats. It's more the passion.
how would he charge monkeys for
I
cat?
got this one. He'll cut the tree. He's like,
He cut the tree. Well, there are many trees. Don't worry about that one. They don't do that. Okay. So anybody else for more of ignorance or passion? Then I'll ask more of goodness after that. Okay, more of goodness. Let's do more of goodness because we're running out of time. More of goodness. How would somebody more of goodness respond?
I would probably give them some fruit and the monkeys will come to me.
Give them fruit and monkeys will come to me. Very good. Anybody else? Any other ideas? Yes, sir. Give a name also.
Zen.
Zen, like Zen meditation. Yeah.
Hire the monkeys to work for him.
Hire the monkey. Bro, how do you do that? How do you do that, bro?
Yeah, they do tricks and they bring more money. So now they're in the business.
Pretty interesting. I'm not sure how you hire them. Ryan, do you have any suggestion?
I was gonna say like bring like fruits or bananas.
Bring a fruits and bananas.
They actually do that. Like they'll steal glasses. And
Yes, do that. Any other suggestion? Brother, you have any ideas? You have somebody. You hear some guys in the back.
Just let them have the caps.
Just let them have the caps. Okay.
Is that okay? I don't know.
We want to. I guess that's also an option, but I'm not sure if that's more to goodness, more to solve the problem. Goodness guy will solve it from knowledge. Anybody else? Sir, you? Any more suggestions? Any more ideas?
For me.
Yeah. No? Okay, she has it. Yeah.
Maybe you just wait for them to fall.
Just wait for them to fall off the head. Yeah. If they get tired. That's it.
Well, you know, if the grudge monkey,
Yeah.
you buy a bunch of bananas and you just exchange your caps each with bananas. Because when you give a monkey something, they usually hand it back. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, but that's what exactly what somebody else has shared. So.
No, I mean, you exchange what you have.
Yeah.
When you go to grudge and they steal your stuff.
Sure. I'm saying that's what he said earlier. The same idea he gave. I'm not sure if you were paying attention, but he gave this exactly the same answer earlier.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe do something which the monkeys will imitate him, like.
Yeah, that's a good
jam
one.
into the-
So monkeys like to imitate. So what you can do is you can cap your wings, just throw it in the basket, and the monkeys try to imitate you. That's something which monkeys like to do. They want to imitate human beings. That's another way of doing it. So of course, both these ideas are good. These are both more of goodness ideas that we try to solve it without hurting anybody and with some knowledge or intelligent ideas. So now you're getting the idea of it. So we want to understand where we are and accordingly choose more of goodness and more of passion in our life. More of ignorance is completely useless. We all accept it. It's just lethargy, indolence is no use at all. Krishna speaks about it. But more of passion does have some use. Being aggressive can be useful for somebody who's a businessman. Because they have to be a little bit cunning, they have to be assertive, passionate. But even better than that is a person who has both a mixture of goodness and passion. Because such a person is a leader, is a mover, but at the same time, he is having vision. Now suppose, like I'm trying to become a monk. So for me, it's probably better to have this, seeking the life of a nobleman, this man of perfection, love and compassion. But for people who are living in the world, they have to have both the things, both goodness and passion, because you have to live your life out there in New York. At the same time, you want peace in your heart. So we need to add a combination of both goodness and passion in our life. And how do we do that? We'll discuss that a little later in this presentation. But before that, it's important to understand, as I was saying, tip 2 is to understand where we are. What's our personality type? Recognize it. Do we have elements of ignorance? Do we have elements of passion? Do we have elements of goodness? If there are elements of ignorance, we completely take them out. They're completely useless. But passion and goodness, we can use. Again, we have to find the right balance for us. What balance works for our job, our situation. Now, how do we balance them? How do we move them around? We'll discuss that as tip 4. So the left final slide. You had something to share, sir?
No, I mean, I was just thinking that, isn't there something, inherent, wisdom in each personality type? And I was thinking that there's probably still some wisdom in ignorance. It's probably not the wisest way to approach something.
Yes. And
rest, it could be, emotion.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Ignorance has its use. What's the use? As I said earlier, it's important to use ignorance in an appropriate way. And we discussed it briefly earlier. It's important to sleep by 10. Why? Because that's when the ignorance is at its peak. And if you sleep at that time, your body is able to utilize ignorance for repairing your body. So yes, ignorance has its place if used appropriately. But suppose somebody is working through whole night and sleeping during the daytime, that's not very good for body rhythm. This is not just me saying. This is tons of studies. You can look at online. Tons of studies on what's a good time to sleep, what's a good time to stay up. Although people like to work whole night and do party whole night, it's not good for health for a long time. So yes, ignorance has some value. Thank you for bringing that out. You're a very smart comment. So third thing which we want to discuss, again based on Gita, is that how do we save our time? Because if you're trying to work smart, you want to know how to save our time. So for this, again, there's an exercise which involves 3 steps: plan, do, and interact. So I want to ask you, and you can do this in your brain, how much time do you spend doing planning? And how good are you at executing something, give yourself a plus or a minus, and how good are you are at interacting with other people, give yourself plus and minus, two options, plus or minus. Based on that, we have this table. So suppose somebody is good at planning, they're good at doing, and they're also able to deliver it and share with other friends and the people, they are a very balanced person. There is somebody who can do planning and do the execute the works, they're able to do their things well. There are others, like I would say somewhere I fit in, that I'm able to execute things and also interact with others, but not for myself so much. My planning goes, awry. It means I'm able to do other people's work. I'm good for them, but for my own work, I forget it. And then there are others who do good planning and who interact with others, but never execute anything. Such people have good intentions, but no work done. So this is still a good matrix to be in. If you're somewhere here, it's a good place to be in. But then there's other matrix, which is of a daydreamer, a workaholic, and a people friendly. How does it look like? It looks like this. There's some people who like to just dream, just plan, but no interaction and no execution. There are others who just work. You ask them, hey, what is this work for? I don't care. It's work. Oh, what is it for? Work. That's the only thing they talk about. Workaholic. And there are others who just like to chit chat, talking here, talking there, talking here, talking there. No execution, no planning. So this is something which we don't want to be. So I'm gonna skip some of these slides now. So we want to change ourselves. We want to change this behavior. And how do we bring this change? I'm gonna skip to the end because I'm getting close to the time here. So this is the time management matrix, which I'm sure many of you have already seen. That there is the on the x-axis is we have urgent and non-urgent, and y-axis we have important and not important. So the things which lie in the category of urgent and important, we want to do them right away. There's no choice. Such as things like breakdown, health crisis, accident, crisis deadlines, they have to be done. But the quadrant in which we want to be is the quadrant of quality, where things are important but not urgent. This is where we want to be. Where we want to, execute meditation, yoga, a pranayama for our body and mind. We want to have planning for our life forward ahead. We want to work on our self-development, relation building. We want to work on our education. So everything is, being planned and executed. That's the quadrant we want to be. And then there's this quadrant which is very popular right now. What is the quadrant? The quadrant of, social media communication, phone calls, talking to people who have just dropped into our rooms or our houses and just having long conversations with them. And these things we can delegate and minimize. And the fourth one is things which waste our time completely. Just going on the Instagram and spending half an hour, it's going through and slipping, completely can be taken out. So we want to be in this quadrant of quality, the quality where we do things which are important but not yet urgent. Now, how do we make this transition where we can delegate, delete, and do divide our work in this manner? How can we reach this stage? And that's where comes the advice from Bhagavad Gita. Okay, there's much more I can share, but I'm skipping to the important part quickly. Here you go. Okay, here you go. So this is a 5-step strategy which will bring us to a place where we're able to bring more of goodness in our life, where we're able to change our life towards quadrant 2. A, B, C, D, E. So the first one is A. A means what? Association of saintly persons whose hearts are filled with positive qualities of love, compassion, devotion, etc. So why I say that? So there's a famous principle in computer science, GIGO. What is GIGO? Garbage in, garbage out. Sometimes, my friends, when I was learning programming, they will write some code and present it to the teacher. And the teacher will say, okay, this looks on the outside pretty good, but whenever we will give them some out of the word response, input, the program will fail. And so my teacher will say garbage in, garbage out. Why? Because we put in some response which is not meant to go in. Like suppose I wrote a code which is supposed to take people's bank account information and tell them that how healthy is a bank account. But if instead of putting bank account information, I put somebody's, say, health related information, would it work? It won't work because it's garbage for the system. So if we are sending to ourselves, bad energy in the form of what? The books we read, the movies we read, the music we listen, the friends we have, then what will happen? Those things will come out. If most of the movies we watch out there, they're so much based on, violence, insecurities, cheating. You watch all the soaps, they're practically all of them talk about cheating. Unfortunately, when I was growing up, again, in India, they have cable TVs. On those cable TVs, you see these soaps, and they have like 500 episodes, and they're just filled with, episode after episode of various kinds of cheating. Like you can't. They'll come up with innovative ways of how a cheating can happen in a relationship, and people watch for fun. Oh, that's how you can cheat on somebody. Oh, that's how you can take tit for tat. Oh, that's pretty interesting how you get back revenge. So people watch while eating food, but they're not realizing that that's the garbage you're putting in your consciousness. What will come out? Those same things will start happening in people's life, a few years later. It's garbage going in. So we have to be conscious that what kind of books we read, what kind of movies we watch, music we listen. Again, I spent so much time in Detroit, and Detroit is full of this, metal music and electronic music. But what kind of lyrics they have, what's there? It's practically trash. And it's all talking about shooting. Practically in each popular music album there, they have gunshots. That's what people, grow up listening to. So what do you expect them to do? Gunshots. So it's important that whom do we associate with? What kind of movies we choose to read, what kind of books we choose to read, what kind of friends we choose to have. So depending on, like this name was saying, tell me the names of five of your friends and I can tell you who you are. So we can take introspect and think, do I have spiritual friends? Do I have friends whom I get inspired, in my life from? Do I have friends whom I can look up to as somebody who can, raise me or uplift me in this way? All that may sound like very selfish, hey? That, you are just choosing somebody not to be a friend with because they are not very inspiring to you. Well, you can have somebody like that with one person out of the five, but it's not that all the four people in your or five of your friends are somebody whom are looking to you for inspiration. Some of them could be ones which you inspire, and others should be ones whom you can be inspired from. So it's very important. A for association. B for books. What books are we reading? Are we reading just novels? Reading stories which have full of death, murder? There's so many stories out there that recently people who were playing a lot of video games, like games online, they ended up doing violence on the campus in schools. Have you guys heard of that? It's happened recently. There are a couple of cases that happened. So what books are we reading? The Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. There's so many books, wonderful books to read out there which are good for changing our consciousness. C for chanting. Meditation and breathing exercises and also chanting. It purifies our consciousness. You may not realize it, but it uplifts our consciousness. It's like a very subtle medicine. And again, there are so many studies. I have a friend who's at Michigan State University in Lansing, which is the state university of Michigan State. And he's doing research on specifically the effect of mantra chanting. So he recently did a study. What study he did? He asked people that you please chant some crazy word from some dictionary again and again. So like people will ask to chant water, 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 water. And we try water, 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 water. So he did that. He didn't tell them about Hare Krishna or anything like that. He asked them to chant water, water. And he had this, he's a neuroscientist and also a data scientist. So he put this cap on them and he was observing the situation of their brain. And he could notice that when people chanted Hare Krishna, the brain automatically goes into this alpha state, which is very helpful for relaxing the mind and improving its productivity. Whereas people who were chanting water, water, no such change was found. So mantra meditation or authentic mantra meditation can be a very powerful technique for elevating our consciousness, for raising it to a mode of goodness. And of course, this is Dr. Herbert Benson talking about it. And here's a study, he also did a study of this, that mantra meditators become to alpha zone. And finally, not finally, but penultimate, D for diet. It's important to have food which is in mode of goodness. So Gita talks about that too in Bhagavad Gita, that there are different types of food. It says there is food in mode of goodness. That is a food which is juicy, fatty, wholesome, which you will get here after the program, if you stick around after this event. And this food of some people have this question, hey, if I eat just vegetarian food, can I be strong? Well, you know what? Elephant is the most powerful guy in the forest, and he only eats vegetables. He doesn't eat anybody's meat or anything. Same for giraffe, pretty tall guy, but he also is vegetarian. Then there's food of more of passion, which is full of distress, misery, disease. How does it look like? Too salty, too hot, too sour. So this is, I'm also giving references here from 17 chapter text number 9. So if later you want to look it up, it's in 17 chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this discussion on food. And there's full of ignorance. Please forgive me for this picture, but that's how we live sometimes. So food that is prepared for a long time ago, it means meat, has decomposed, putrid, I don't want to say any more things about it. So that's it. So we need to change that. So all in all, A, B, C, D, E, which is A for association, also E stands also for environment, which is practically the same as association. B for books, which is reading books, which is about of goodness, uplifting the consciousness. C for chanting or meditation, and D for diet. By having these 4 things, we uplift ourselves to a place where we can act in mode of goodness, where we can see things in knowledge. And that's where we all of us want to be. We want to work smartly, not hardly. So that's the end of our presentation. Anybody has any comments or questions? Yes, Ryan.
I was just going to say that actually in regards to the meat thing, the mode of passion, actually the meat that we get is not in the mode of passion because it's refrigerated and frozen for so long in the supermarket. So it's actually the mode of ignorance.
Yeah, mode of ignorance, correct. I'm with you.
I just a question. Are you able to send me the slideshow?
Yeah, why not?
Perfect, thank you.
I'm here to share. Anybody else? Okay, if nobody has any questions, we'll take a reflection. What is reflection? First of all, I'm not sure how much time we have. John, how much time we have?
Like 15 minutes.
15 minutes more? We have it? Okay, I didn't know. Okay, so we're going to take reflection. What reflection means is that you share either something which you learned today or something which you are able to reflect today on based on today's presentation, or something you want to share with everybody in the group. Because this is a culture of India. What's the culture of India? That if a speaker shares some wisdom, all the listeners, they have to give something in donation. They have to share back. It's just mandatory, That's how you're able to, that's how you take some and you give some back. So I'm not going to put anybody in, in the hot seat, but everybody can come together and, one by one share something which they learned today or something they want to share based on today's talk. So they want to reflect. Who wants to go first?
Well, like if you find yourself in one of the 3 modes that you just shared now,
Uh-huh.
you have to account for how long have you been in that state for which you have, I don't know, let's just say neurologically wired yourself to the extent that now you have a level of pathology, it's ingrained in you. How are you going to change that? Then how much time do you need to actually do all the contrasting or opposite actions that can get you into a state of goodness and remain, how do you say, constant and steady on those actions, those practices, so that then you can build a new rewiring, neurologically speaking, or a better, more empowered pathological state of being, let's put it that way. Like, we don't really account for that. We don't think about those things. It's like, yeah, let's just chant Hare Krishna, or let's just do Japa mantra and whatever. But then we go out there into the world and, find ourselves sunken in the same usual states over and over and over again. We get frustrated and then we're like, I'll do the practices tomorrow. And there's no progress, you know what I mean? It's like 10 steps forward and 20 steps back kind of thing.
So our practice is sharing that we need to be conscious of where we are. We need to recognize and accept, not that expect some magic to happen tomorrow. Hey, now that I know ABCD, I heard this presentation. Tomorrow, I'm going to be the man in quadrant 2. I'm going to do more of goodness. No, it will take time. Thank you for sharing that. Being patient with ourselves. Very nice. Anybody else? Yes, Ryan?
I was going to say, it's important not to lament about if you see yourself in lower modes, because Krishna says they're constantly changing in the Gita, and they're always vying for superiority, and they're always shifting, and it's not always just one, they're all mixed. But it is important to strive for those higher modes, but just know that they do change constantly.
Thank you, Ryan. Very nice. Yes, Pimani, our star singer.
I wanted to share. My mom, she went on book distribution one day, and like she was going to different apartment complexes, and she knocked on one door, and the man opened the door, and then she opened the Bhagavad Gita to the picture of the three modes of material nature, and then she's explaining about it. She's like, well, which one do you think you're in? And then, because his apartment was completely dark, he had the TV on, and it was like he was coming out of a cave. And he's like, well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. And so it just goes to show that actually it's something so simple to understand, because we can see it very clearly in ourselves, and also and others. And that what I like about the Bhagavad Gita is that, or about Bhakti Yoga, is that everything explained is very like practical for everyday living.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, that's another proof that Gita is a manual for life. It's a manual for human life. Yes. Next, yes, my brother. What's your name? I didn't get your name.
I'm Joe.
Joe. Thank you, Joe.
So, ideally, are you trying to be in goodness? Would it be the best if you were always in goodness, but it's just not practical? That's why we're in passion also. That's like the passion is almost like a necessary evil that we have to kind of...
Correct. Okay. For somebody who's working, you need to have passion, because if you don't all goodness, you'll be a yogi in Himalayas.
Right.
You won't be able to survive in New York for sure.
I see. Thank you. I was just trying to clear that up.
Yes, sir. And your name was?
Yeah, my name's Nir.
Nir.
And I mean, I think it's an interesting framework, passion, ignorance, and goodness. And I was reflecting for myself, like where am I at work? Where am I with family? Where am I? And most importantly, like it's inside me, rather than sometimes I think it's easy to blame other people for, like, oh, they said that, so that's why I'm acting this way. And I think it was an interesting thing for me to just realize that it's like, what is happening inside me, and how can, one, reflecting on where I'm at, and two, what do I need to do, or how do I change it to get to where I want to be. So, thank you.
Thank you for hearing that. Sir?
Mark, I'm just happy I found out elephants and giraffes are vegetarians.
Yeah, something in common with them. Anybody else? Okay, yeah.
Thank you so much for Rosalind. Thank you so much for the presentation. I realize how much in the last few weeks or months I've been living like in ignorance, and how much discomfort that has been causing me, like truly how much discomfort, and how it's gotten to a point that my body's like, nope, I can't live this way. And I've been really like seeking, something spiritual, something bigger than myself, and just like, I know my body's not meant for that kind of ignorance. So I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you for being honest. It takes a lot to be honest. Yes, Maria.
I think it's, I'm very exhausted. I've worked too much. And I think before I really started coming here, all I would do was work and nothing else. But I think one of the biggest things that I learned to almost get away from it, but then being practical, because you're still a person, and you still have needs, is thinking about your duty in the work that you do as well. What are you doing it for? Are you doing it to hoard money, or are you doing it to simply provide and, just having basic needs, So I guess in a way it almost learning about it almost makes you reflect on, why were you doing it in the first place? Why are you overworking yourself? What goal do we have in overworking ourselves? And if you didn't overwork yourself, you're not going to lose your job, but you will be much happier. and it'll be easier to be in the mode of goodness if you reflect on why you are doing those things that ultimately hurts yourself.
Nice. So Maria here is sharing a concept of introspection, reflection, which is very much important for also coming out of this mode. So that's wonderful that you have learned this tool and adopted it in your life. Thank you. Yes, brother.
I think a mode of to go in continuation with that feeling, we have to, and your friend as well, that story about wanting more each stage in life, we have to be at that stage of santosh, of contentment, of our spiritual life, our career life, especially if you're living in a city like New York and you're in the world, but you still have a balance of spirituality. We have to have that ability to say, my spiritual life, I'm content in this stage where I am. My work career, I'm content at this stage. My housing situation, I'm most content. You know, I don't need a mansion. Like, what would I do with it if I'm working 10 hours for the day, sleeping in it at night, you know? So it's important to also know the modes, but also while we're in perspective of our own situations, know where we have to balance each aspect, I should say. Yeah.
Your name, brother, forever?
Dev.
So Deva and Maria are sharing a very important concept, important idea. This will be the last point I discuss here, is that they have been able to find this quality of satisfaction. They have made this transition. However, one thing they're hiding was that they have chosen to follow this ABCD. They have really good spiritual association. They read regularly Gita. They chant also, and they eat vegetarian or more of goodness food. So here we have made it easy for you. Once a week on Tuesday night we have vegetarian, more of goodness food for you, and you can have that throughout the week yourself. Association, I'm really grateful to you that all of you have come here, and books. So who here has Bhagavad Gita? Everybody here has Bhagavad Gita, or anybody who doesn't have Bhagavad Gita? If you don't have, we'll get you one here. Okay, we'll get you, sir. And C, chanting. So chanting, which we did earlier today with Premamani, that's, we're not so lucky to have a friend or sister like Premamani in our house who can sing for us every day. But the good news is, we don't have to sing necessarily with music. We can do this with beats. Because the power of chanting is such that if we chant with beats even, just meditating on the mantra itself, like my friend was doing earlier, he's hiding in his pouch something. Can we show that? What do you have?
I have a sweet.
No, not that one.
The quartz stone. And the most important tool.
Yeah, so he has his beats. And we have those beats outside too, which you can have. And you can chant on the beats. You don't necessarily need to have music. Like, I'm not so music competent, but I like to chant on the beats every day for some time. So we can set for ourselves a minimum something. Usually doing a one round of that, it takes us about, if you're new, about 10 minutes. And somebody who's been doing for a long time, it will take me like 5 minutes. I do usually for 3 hours, because that's why I like it so much. But the others will do for 5 minutes, for 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how much you can give in your day-to-day time. So that's chanting. So these Maria and they are doing that. That's why they're getting that determination to make that transition. So I would like to encourage everybody that you read every day Bhagavad Gita and also chant on the beat. If we have some more time, maybe we can do a one round japa, if that's possible, or half of it. How much time we have, John? On the verge of it. Okay, we'll just chant 21 times. Is that okay? That will take us about 3 minutes. We'll chant using the beats Krishna has given us in our hands. So all of us have 4 fingers. These ones. What? So the 4 fingers, each finger has its 3 pockets. Why are the 3 pockets? They have some use. What's the use? They're used for counting. So if you count on these fingers, there's 12. We use the thumb also is 15. And then we count 9 times 9 more, that's 21. Or let's do 27. 27 is a good number. So 27 times, because 27 times 4 is 108, which is a very powerful number. So we'll chant all together, the Hare Krishna, which is right here, in case you forget. We'll chant it together 27 times. It should take about 3 to 4 minutes. And that'll be the last thing we do it here. But before we do that, let's try to sit straight, everybody. As much as possible. I know you're in a comfortable chair, so it not be possible. Sit straight. And then keep our hands on our knees, chest open. And first we'll take 3 long and deep breaths. 1, Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And now we will chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's it. Now we'll again take 3 deep breaths. That'll be the last part. That's the first one. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And last one. Ready to open our eyes. Thank you. I want to applaud everybody for participation. Thank you. And we do this every Tuesday, so please come back.
Siddha Hari, another round of applause.
Thank you.